Welcome. You are about to take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition show. For the next hour, allow her to prepare you in becoming a magnet for a profound love-infused relationship by identifying and focusing on solutions through love. Awaken the light within and let your essence shine. And now, here's Deborah Beauvais on Love by Intuition, all part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Welcome, everyone. Bonjour, mes amis. And yes, here I am, Deborah Beauvais, as I always say, founder and owner of the Dream Vision 7 radio network. If you're tuning in for the first time and you're not that familiar with us, we are a syndicated, Boston-based, fully operating internet radio station with all the bells and whistles. You can listen to us wherever you are in the world, online, in the cars, on the phone, and at the same time you can certainly ask Alexa to play Dream Vision 7 radio network. Well, I am really excited to have my guest. She's actually one of our radio hosts. She's been with us for about 4 years. She is the host of Retreat to Peace, and that's how you can reach her as well, retreattopeace.com. Her show is actually every Wednesday, 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and she has had quite a journey. She has grown up in an unconventional childhood experience. Her first memory was when she was 3 years old. She has written a number of books, and we're going to talk about one of them, the latest one, which is Walking by Faith, The Testimonies of God in My Life, by Catherine Daniels. So, and I should mention, besides all this, writing books and all, and having a radio show, she's a speaker and a business and soul coach, and has helped many people restore their dark places, or spaces, should I say, within themselves, with the gift of mercy and grace. And all kinds of things are tied up into Catherine's journey of life on this earth. So without further ado, Catherine, welcome to the show.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much. And thank you for everyone who's listening. I'm so filled with gratitude to be here tonight with you. And I just can't thank you enough for providing this platform, because the amazing thing that it's doing for the world is putting out so much love and light. And, you know, in a time that there's so much darkness that's being combated, and it's just filling the airways and the spaces of everyone's lives, giving so much back to them. So thank you for doing that, and just very appreciative for you taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you, Catherine, for those kind words. I got my God tingles going on, and I thank you for that, because it is, you know, our station is a platform that is just vibrating love into the, you know, collective consciousness, and it's really felt. I feel the energy of all of you that are on the station, and everyone's coming from their soul, the deepness of their soul and through their heart. So I thank you for being part of it all.
Oh, I'm happy to be part of it all. I have so much fun, and I love everybody that I've interviewed, and I love my audience. And I know I have people listening today, right now, so thank you for that. I just appreciate all the love that I receive, and I'm excited to share everything and anything. So fire away. Let's do this.
Yes. And I'd like to put the phone number out, too. Bob is in the house, and call in, and he'll put you right through if you have a question or a comment for Catherine or I. Number is 833-220-1200. So let's start with, you know, your childhood, because you have persevered through so many things, and you're walking with the light of God and all, and trusting your guides and angels. So let's start when your parents got a divorce, and you ended up with your grandparents.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. Yeah, so for me, I was a little girl that lived in an environment that was filled with a lot of abuse. And I didn't know the extent of all that abuse until much later in life when it started to reveal itself. But the profound thing for me was my earliest childhood memory, which is being 3 years old and being locked in a closet. And the closet shelf, because the door slammed so hard, had fallen on top of my head and my little brother. And we were just filled in this darkness and the debris of all the things that were on top of that shelf. And intuitively, I knew that the sliver of light under that door, had it gone dark, intuitively I known that would have extinguished my life. So as a 3-year-old, I tried to reach the door handle, couldn't reach it. Clearly wasn't strong enough or tall enough, and all I could do is just hold my brother and just try to protect him and keep him safe because I was the older one, and that's instinctively what I knew to do. But it was my mother who locked us in the closet. I don't know who got us out. I don't know how long we were there. But this is where, for me, the testimony of just that intuitive feeling abandoned, rejected, isolated, alone, or just feeling like, you've been put in a space that was just so uncomfortable. And I think every human on the planet has felt this at some point in their life. Now, for me, when my parents divorced and I went to go live with my grandparents, I literally lived a life where I was very isolated as a child. We had 5 outfits to our names. We were on borrowed everything because nothing belonged to us. We were only supposed to be there for a couple of days, and it turned into years. So
I didn't realize, Catherine, that it was supposed to be just a few days.
Yeah. So it turned into years, and we literally played with rocks and sticks under the maple tree. We weren't allowed to watch TV. We were bathed once a week on a Sunday. That's when we had our bath and got our, hair cleaned. And essentially it was get up in the morning, have breakfast, go outside and play, come in at lunch, go back outside and play, and then listen for the cowbell. And once that cowbell rang, you get your butt inside and you have dinner, and then you were shipped off to bed, and that was it. Children were to be seen and not heard. So for me, it was an upbringing where I was very isolated from other children. I didn't know other children actually existed because I was so isolated. It was just my brother and I, and the safest place for us was out in the forest and just romping around, in God's wilderness. And that's where we were safe. That's where we were able to be free and be children. So being in an environment where you weren't able to speak your truth or be a child and just, children are very loud and expressive. We weren't allowed to do that. We weren't allowed to do that. But there was a God's gift in all of this. So for me, this God's gift, I didn't realize until I was much older that being in the wilderness, being in the forest, there's so many studies on the human body where they talk about grounding with Mother Earth and how all of that grounding reverses disease. It undoes the chemistry of the body. And little did I know all the traumatic stuff I was experiencing and my brother was experiencing, we were actually being naturally reprogrammed with God. So that was a huge aha moment as an adult, that my whole life everybody says, well, how could you be this person? How could you not, want to have been on drugs or, throwing yourself into other things to avoid what you grew up with all of this evil and trauma? And for me, I never thought of myself as being different because I've always lived from the inside out, not the outside in. I've always been from my heart space and always overflowing from that space. So when people meet me, they're always curious because they don't understand, how I can operate the way that I do. So it's been a very unique situation. But as we talked about, and you already know this, there was a second thing that happened in my life. And I was 5 years old, and I was sitting in the passenger side of my father's pickup truck, and I look over, we're at a stoplight, I look over, and I see a playground filled with children. And I'm just completely confused because, as I said, we didn't have any exposure to children. So when I was looking at them, they're laughing, they're playing jump rope, they're playing ball, and they're having so much fun. And I'm so confused because, remember, I didn't have toys. So just looking at a little child playing with a ball was kind of a foreign concept for me. And I know that sounds really strange. But anyway, they had so much joy. And that joy was something that wasn't present in my own life. My life was filled with darkness and rigidness and a lot of abuse. And like I said, I was supposed to be seen and not heard. So I look at my dad, and I'm just completely confused. And then I look back outside, and I see the schoolyard of children, but then I see this beautiful, towering energy field next to a building. And it was just pulling me in. It was filled with love and protection and safety and all the goodness that I've never had in my life. Like, it just pulled me into it. It had no face. It had no angel wings. It didn't say anything. But it led me as a little 5-year-old girl. I literally saw myself. I was in this pink, pretty little dress, and my hair was done. It was all brushed with pulled back, and I had the little black shoes with little socks. And I'm literally being led along the building. And when I looked to the top of the building, there was a cross. And that's something that really took years of my life trying to figure out what was it that I witnessed. Because as children, we know it's either good or bad, right? We know it's either one or the other. It's very black and white. And for me, because there was so much evil in my life, there was such contrast that I always was drawn to this love and light, this energy field that just left this huge impression on my soul that I never looked back. Like, it always pulled me in that direction. So it created a lot of things for me, actually. It created a sense of knowing there was a higher power overseeing my life. And it gave me a sense of the fact that I wasn't alone, right? So that reality just really gave me some sort of safety net, because when things were so bad, it was like, you're okay. You're really okay. You've got something that, that is higher, that is present with you, providing comfort.
Right, and support, really. You knew that not only were you not alone, but you had support in that light.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that inner knowing as a child, that inner knowing that I had, I mean, you always hear the saying, out of the mouths of babes. And it's so true, because children haven't been programmed yet, right? So they haven't been hit with all the downloads of their parents, or commercialism, or the television, or the gaming and technology, and all of these things. So for me, like, it was just this inner knowing that I was okay, right? I was okay, and I was safe in this love that I experienced. And I just, with every cell in my being, I just trusted it.
So did you, how long did you stay from that time when you were 5 and you had that awakening, which isn't surprising, because really I believe that, up until 5, when you go to school, you're still resonating in that light and that glow and that innate love that's within us all. So how long did you actually have to stay there with your grandparents?
Well, if we were to fast forward through my childhood, I was with my grandparents for several years. I think it was I don't think, I know.
Yeah.
I was 12 years old when my father remarried, and then we were launched into a whole nother plethora of discomfort and a lot of other things that were not very good in life. And it took me some time to, I guess, pedal my way out. So, I think for me, when I was in that environment, because I had such this incredible, strong discernment and knowing, like literally knowing, I literally had this, image in my head that there's a goal, and the end goal is just get through this, monstrous road and get to the other side, because once I was 18, I was legal. Now, my grandparents, because they saw it, they also understood, the gravity of it for my brother and I. They actually tried to get us back, and unfortunately, there was this whole thing with the court, and the court said, no, you're too old, we're not giving you permission. But like I said, I was 12, so I had 6 years in that environment, and it just was a matter of, just get yourself out. So that's really what I was. And any teenager that is in an environment like that, like they do understand, okay, there's a countdown until I'm legally an adult, and it's just a matter of making good decisions so that I can launch my life in a way that is going to be good for me. So for me, I put myself through school. I worked 3 jobs to do that. And a lot of people are amazed because when I tell them that, they're like, what? You worked 3 jobs? Yes, I worked 3 jobs, went to school full time, and got my college degree. It is possible.
Well, I wasn't aware of that either, Catherine, that you persevered in that direction. But you had a lot of fortitude, and you must have just felt like you were guided through all this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For me, I've always been a lifelong learner, and I am very acutely aware of, I guess, the signs. So I look for things that are going to help me to navigate and to find ways that are going to help me grow and become really what it is that is my life assignment that I'm supposed to be for everyone in my life. So that's part of the reason why I feel so blessed to be part of this platform, because I feel like that was part of my calling, is to really get out into a global space and really help wrap my arms around the people of the world that are hurting or need direction or need to find some way to feel like they too can be resilient when they're not sure what their direction is. Because like I said, as humans, we all go through a period of time where we do feel like we're stuck in the closet and we can't, we're not tall enough to turn the closet door and get ourselves out. But as adults, the beautiful thing is that we can make a choice. We can make a choice to do it different, right? As children, that choice isn't always there for us, so it does make it harder.
Right, yes. So at what time did you feel you were driven to make a difference and help others through trauma? When did that all happen?
I think God has been tapping my shoulder for a long time, and it's been incrementally throughout my life. But the strongest God tap was October of 2019. And I'll never forget it because for me, I am very close to the veil. So I'm one of these people that senses, energy. I can hear, I can see, I can feel. I am so close. So, like, for me, I have to be very acutely aware and protect myself in the armor of God so that I don't have anything, evil coming towards me. But that also being said, I have always listened to when God has spoke to me and said, this is what I'm doing with you, and this is how I want you to navigate. And that's really what was on my heart when I wrote the book, Walking by Faith, because as you read in Walking by Faith, the testimonies of God in my life, you realize that I'm in my 20s and God's talking to me in the car as my grandfather is dying in a hospital bed. And this is pre-cell phone. You don't even know, there's no communication, but this is already happening in my life. So he was continually showing up at different points in my life. But October of 2019, in the middle of the night when I get a lot of messages, I hear the world is going to go into darkness and you're going to bring light into the world. And I honestly had no idea what that meant. And then I heard retreat to peace. And I said to my husband, do you know what retreat to peace is? And he's like, no. And I said, I think this is something I'm supposed to be doing. God's asking me to do this. And I didn't even know what this was. I was just, as God has it, he leaves the breadcrumbs, and it's up to us to pick them up, whether we do or don't. That is our free will. So it's okay, are you aware enough to pick it up, and what are you going to do with it when you pick it up? And for me, like I said, because I'm so acutely aware, I'm just picking up those breadcrumbs. And as we start to get into 2020, it was abundantly clear, okay, the world is going into darkness because everything is getting shut down. We are going into an environment where the whole entire globe is now experiencing trauma. And the reason it's experiencing trauma is because there is not one single person on the planet that is the same since pre-COVID, right? Because every single life has been touched. Whether you lost somebody you loved, your work environment changed, your friendships changed, your relationships with your family. How many people have suffered just with their family relationships? There is so much trauma. So when this started to happen, I was literally shaken in my soul because I realized, oh my goodness, the entire world has been so busy running away from the inner part of themselves, running away from their family relationships, running away from, getting into their feelings about something to heal an old trauma or a wound from childhood or what have you. So when everything shut down and people were forced to be home, they didn't know what to do with that. That was super uncomfortable for them.
Right. Now, if I may interject, because we have to take a break, Catherine. Hold that thought, and it's right where when the COVID started. So everyone, don't go away. Stay with us. We'll be back in a few minutes with our guest, Catherine Daniels.
Experience a different yet profound healing with Reconnective Healing. Includes yet expands beyond any and all known forms of energy healing. The Reconnective Healing spectrum is comprised of the full healing and evolutionary continuum of energy, light, and information. It allows for healings that are not just physical, not just mental, not just emotional, yet go beyond that to bring healing that includes the evolution of your very being and essence. Deborah Beauvais, trained and certified by world-renowned Dr. Eric Pearl, offers appointment hours at Seekonk Family Chiropractic in Seekonk, Massachusetts. For questions or to set up both distance or local sessions, call Deborah at 508-431-1959. Again, 508-431-1959. Or go to lovebyintuition.com. That's lovebyintuition.com.
Calling all authors. Have you been considering an audiobook? Well, look no further. Come take advantage of Dream Vision 7 Radio Network's unique in-house audiobook production, which includes benefits and bonuses from our radio station. Let our knowledgeable staff guide you to create the audiobook you've always dreamed of without breaking the bank. Check out our full one-stop service from A to Z, including the ACX process. Schedule a free consultation by calling 508-226-1723. That's 508-226-1723. Or go to dreamvision7radio.com.
After narrowly surviving the attack on Sandy Hook Elementary, first grade teacher Caitlin Roy DeBellis was left searching for answers that would never come. Eventually, she chose to focus on questions that could be answered. How do I make sure this tragedy doesn't define us? How do we get our control back? Those two questions led her to found the 501c3 nonprofit organization Classes for Classes. When gifts poured into their classroom, she decided they would help someone else by paying it forward and being kind. This developed into a social network which allows K-8 classrooms to connect so that every student in the United States can learn these crucial lessons. Classes for Classes' mission is to build students' social-emotional intelligence by connecting them to care. All C4C projects are crowd-funded. Any teacher in the U.S. can visit classesforclasses.org. That's classes, the number 4, classes.org. Sign up today.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And yes, we are back, and you're listening to the Love by Intuition show that's Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. We're live right now, and you can call in and ask Catherine a question or make a comment. Our toll-free number is 833-220-1200. Bob is in the house, so when you call, he'll put you right through to us directly. We're with Catherine Daniels, and as mentioned when we first came on, that Catherine has her own show right here on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, Retreat to Peace, every Wednesday, 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. So be sure to tune in and listen to her wisdom, and really she has she's been walking with nature since she was just 3, so she is very connected and can help you through your own trauma. And that's one of the things that you had mentioned, where we were running away from everything, and it's natural for the human to, instead of going in, looking out. When going within, you find the truth, you find the wisdom, you find a way to heal that trauma. And so now we're starting COVID. So go from there and share your thoughts.
Yeah, so again, when we get into COVID and I get this God tap, it is abundantly clear to me that the world is experiencing a high level of grief. I mean, think of how many people became depressed, how many people committed suicide, how many people turned into addiction. I mean, the numbers even today are staggering, and it's unshakable in my soul how many lives have been impacted because of what governments have come into our lives and have done, and it really has shaken everything up. And if you think about grief, you have different layers of grief. You have some people who are angry, you have people that get depressed, and eventually there is this acceptance, but grief takes time. And some people, it takes them years to get through grief. So this is where I go back to, people experience a lot of things that they just don't feel like they can get their footing because there's been this traumatic thing that's happened in their life. And listen, I'm not one who is not immune to any of this myself. Like, that's what I'm saying. Every single human has been touched by what we experienced in 2020. So for me, it became abundantly clear that I needed a way to literally give back. And I'll never forget when I was told, the Holy Spirit said to me, I want you to put a post out and just ask for speakers. And I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't. I just put a post out and literally said, I'm looking for speakers. That is it. When I went back to that post and I had over 200 people reply, my mouth dropped. Like, I was literally floored, and I said, okay, God, you're doing something here. I don't know what you're doing, but this is where, as I started to talk to people, and they're in Australia, and they're in Germany, and they're in the Netherlands, and they're all over the world, I'm starting to really understand the gravity and the intensity of what these other countries were going through. The U.S. has no idea how intense COVID was and lockdown was in the other areas of the world. People just don't have any idea. Like, I'll never forget the one woman saying to me, she literally felt like she was in a jail cell because she could not leave her home unless she showed the government a piece of paper that she could leave her home to go to the doctor. And she literally said, I would rather die than do this. And I literally said to her, please listen to me. Please listen to me. You're experiencing grief, and the whole world's experiencing this with you. You're not alone. And I literally changed the lens on her vision of what was happening. And for the next 3 days, this woman reached out to me and said, thank you, thank you, thank you, because I was in such a dark place, I didn't want to live.
Right. Wow.
So this is where I know God put this assignment on me to get out in front of people and put this love and light and abundance. And every person on my show on Retreat to Peace, I mean, we go into those dark spaces. The people that have had cancer and healed themselves, or depression, or, some of the things that people don't want to talk about. And why not we talking about it? We should be talking about it. Like, why not build a bridge and help as many people as we can to heal? Like, ultimately, isn't that what world peace is?
Yes. Yes. So, wow. So that's what started it all.
It really is. And it's just kind of snowballed through the years, and it just, has become, and it's still snowballing. Like, I'm still in awe of what is, evolving. And I'll never forget when I asked, I like, literally when it started to come to fruition, I remember just going outside and taking a deep breath, and I looked up to the heavens, and I'm like, why me? Because it felt like so big, Deborah. It felt way bigger than anything one person can do, right? I was like, why me? And then I was like, no. I retract that. I know why it's me. It's me because I was that little girl in the woods, fully surrendered to everything that I was supposed to be, right? It's me because I didn't get programmed with all the downloads that everybody else has programmed. It's me because I can see you, like literally can see you, and I can like help you to feel safe, right? It's me because I can help you to feel spiritually grounded, physically strong. And it's me because I can lead you into a thriving place of abundance that you've never had before. That's why it's me. So that is crystal clear. And then as the enemy would have it, we're going to take her out and we're going to remove her ability to do it. And that's what happened.
Yes. And before we get into what you've just coming out of, I have a question for you. Did you, do you see how everything is threaded together? Number one. And do you see how powerful everything has been from when you were a child to now, and how all of that is threaded together? And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, even where we're going with what's happened with your jaw, I feel is that it's connected to speaking up, having a voice, voice to share not only your trauma, but how to heal other people's trauma. And yes, and I mean, that's the first thought I had when you were talking about, or when you were able to talk about what was happening with your jaw. So, and should we say jaw, or is it the jaw, the face, everything?
So, I mean, we can label it however you would like to, Deborah. It's fine. For me, so everyone that's listening live right now, and my Retreat to Peace audience, God bless you for hanging in there with me. And just, I'm truly in awe of the love and the support and all of everybody just hanging in there and supporting me unbeknownst. They had no idea what I was going through. But I'm telling you, I felt that support. I felt that support. So it's almost like when we talk about the total collective, the total world collective, where people are literally getting into that higher space, and it's a spiritual space, right? Because we are walking around in these bodies, but at some point when we leave our body, it is our spirit that leaves. It's our soul that leaves, and that is a whole nother level. So when we bring that all together, I mean, universally, there's so much power in it, and we see that in studies in the human body. We see that over and over and over. Now, for me, I have been on this journey for almost 2 years. It's about 2 years now, and it did bring my life to a screeching halt. So I have been through 3 jaw surgeries in the last year and a half, and one of them profoundly changed the structure of my face and has, literally changed my voice, changed the way I look. It's transformed me in a completely different way. But the really interesting thing about this experience is that I had this incredible pain, and the pain was so excruciating. Pain like I've never, ever in my life have ever felt. And my poor dear husband had to re-break my jaw for 3 weeks, twice a day, in the morning and at night. And I literally could feel the bone breaking. And it was excruciating. And I just remember being literally in the valley and sitting with ice on my face, and my face was swollen. And I just kept praying, literally every second, every minute, and I just kept pleading to God, I know you're on the other side of this, and I know there's something that's coming that is for my good, and just sit with me and stay with me, and, just pleading out in prayer, just trying to keep myself in the best possible mental state that I could possibly be in. And how difficult was that? Because it's chronic. It was chronic for chronic
pain.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, how did you have meds to help you at all?
So I was on some medication to help with inflammation and some pain. But here's the thing: I I try really hard not to give my body too much of anything like that, because I try to do other methods that are more holistic, like going outside and getting the sunshine and fresh air. And that might sound silly, but in reality, God has provided everything that we need as humans, right? So again, let's go back to the woods when I was a little girl. When you're grounding and it's reversing the body's chemistry and reversing what you're going through with the trauma, I would sit outside and just put my feet on Mother Earth and just allow that to work. And it literally does. I have a grounding mat that my son bought me that is on my bed. And because they just finally, have technology that recreates that grounding that we would experience if we were outside. So I would use that. I would use meditation. I would use music. I literally would just drown myself in music to redirect my thoughts, because what music does for us is it changes our state, and it's the fastest way to get us from one state to another. So if you're depressed and you want to feel really, sad, go ahead, put your sad music on. It's going to drive you down deeper into your depression. But if you want to get out of that, get your happy music playing and redesign the state that you're feeling, and it will help you. It will springboard you out of that state. So because I know all of this, it was like, okay, pay super attention to your diet. Pay super attention to your thoughts. If you're starting to feel anything that is ugly or off, redirect them. Get them into a higher state. So I was using many different techniques. I tried to stay away from anything that would get me distracted or bring me into a space that was not healthy for me. So I was very careful with discernment about literally intentionally, what am I watching? What am I listening to? 5 senses. What am I putting into my body? All the things. What am I looking at? So literally the 5 senses, just using what my body needed. But here's the thing. The pain was so bad, right? And 2:30 in the morning on a Tuesday night, I literally have this demonic energy field that is outside of my body that is just like lava outside of me. And I'm like, whoa, what
is that? All right, hold that thought, Catherine. We need to take our last break. Everyone, stay with us. You want to hear what she experienced in just a couple of minutes. We'll be back.
Take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition Show, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Eastern. Our message is love in the purest form. The light within us all is a guide to recall our beginning, to learn to love self and humankind, and to feel the higher power of our own divinity. To attract love, one needs to be love. Come join us and step into this glorious vibration called love.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
Are miracles real? Can you move from mayhem to miracles? 30 prominent authors say yes as they share their high fives and down lows of challenges, abuse, addiction, and love. Experience hope, the magic elixir of miracles, through the personal stories of New York Times bestselling authors James Redfield, Dr. Bernie Siegel, Sister Jenna, Reverend Temple Hayes, and many more. If you like bestsellers, chaos to clarity, and crappy to happy, you'll love crying and laughing through mayhem to miracles. Sacred stories of transformational hope. Available now on Amazon and in bookstores worldwide.
It's a child's job to play, to learn, and to have fun. It's an adult's job to keep them safe. Did you know that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before the age of 18? Every day, families enter the Children's Advocacy Center because a child's courage to tell someone what happened to them. Keeping our children safe starts with a conversation. This is Michelle Aranger, Executive Director of the Children's Advocacy Center. Learn more on how to keep your child safe. Visit cacofbc.org. This message made possible by the Fall River Rotary Club.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Okay, so Catherine, get right back into your experience in the middle of the night.
Yeah, so 2:30 in the morning on Tuesday night, I, like I said, had this literal, demonic lava energy field that was swarming around my mouth. And I honestly was, terrified because I've heard about this. I've never experienced this. And it took everything I had to just get out the words, I rebuke this in the name of Jesus. And, most people think, if I just think the thoughts, it should go away or be gone. But the thing is we're of God. So the enemy is outside of us. So we really do have to speak out against it, right? So it took all I had to speak out against it. And
how did you know the words to say?
Well, it was a deliverance. It was a demonic energy field of, think about it. There was a deliverance for me because I was a little girl who was supposed to be seen and not heard. So there was a lot of trauma attached to my mouth in that. Yes. But then there was also trauma attached to my mouth because I was sexually abused as a child. So as I stated earlier, all the abuses I've gone through, the sexual abuse piece didn't come out until much later in life. So for me, it was okay, so there was this release, and this release happened, but I had to rebuke it because that was a deliverance. But the interesting thing happened that I literally broke down crying, and my face was so swollen. I know this is going to sound weird. I couldn't really cry because I was so swollen, so it was hard for me to even cry. And I didn't tell anybody because I was just so stirred in my soul. I didn't even feel like I could tell anybody. Well, a few days later, that weekend, my friend from church comes over, and she comes, into the room with me. And I said to her, I'm sitting in the valley, and I literally have just been sitting with God, literally sitting with God. And just praying every minute, every second, hour to hour throughout the day. And she looks at me and she says, I know. And she said, something happened to you Tuesday night at 2:30 in the morning because I woke up out of a dead sleep and you were on my heart. So I dropped to my knees and started praying over you. And I just started to cry, literally started to cry. So this is where, when you talk about the connectivity of all of us spiritually, we are interconnected. There is no question we are interconnected.
That's right. Well, are you still with us?
I am.
Yes. I just wanted to check. So, but did you have words for this thing that you were experiencing? How did you know what to say to it, or did you just feel that whatever you did by sitting with God and praying that was the answer to get rid of it, for it to move through?
Yeah, for me, I knew it was literally an attachment of evil to prevent me from moving forward, right? So prior to that, and it's really interesting because after this experience, I had gone to a convention, a conference, a women's conference, and I had shared this experience at the conference, and I was floored by the amount of people that had a reaction to it. And just them coming up to me and saying to me, oh, my goodness, like I can relate to you in this way or that way or this way or that way. And it just really opened my eyes because during that conference, we had taken a moment to just, sit with ourselves and sit with God in prayer. And what came to me was that you are free. You're unstoppable. So first it was the battle was won. So the battle is won. You are free. You're unstoppable. And I thought, oh, my goodness. So when the battle was won, it was like, okay, there's been this huge release off of me, right? All of this childhood trauma, all this stuff, it's released. And the battle's won. So now it's just, it's just go time. It's time to go. So the books are just, they're flooding out of me. There's more books coming. I've got another one coming out in March of this year. And I've got these workshops. And for the listeners, because I love you so much, you can get an electronic copy of Walking by Faith, my Testimony of God book, for 99 cents until the end of the month. So that is my gift to you. That is my gift to you. And so, so you asked about the interconnectedness of all of it. Well, let's talk about that for a moment. The interconnectedness really is women are held captive a lot of times in their relationships or by their experiences, their childhood, all of these different things. So when I look back at my childhood and I think about how my father got custody of us and how my father was the one that was like the primary abuser in my life, and to the extent that it was so bad that it created kind of a mental illness for my mother, I really realized, like, had my mother had been more spiritually grounded and physically strong and financially confident as a woman, where she was able to thrive in her own life with her health and wealth and all of that, she probably could have done more to do what it was that was needed for my brother and I. So I just cry out to all of anyone who, and it's not just women, anyone who is feeling stuck or, abandoned, rejected, unworthy, all of these things where you've lost your footing. It's like, let's get you back on your feet. Let's get you strong. Let's get you exactly where you need to be so that you're confident and you can, tackle whatever it is you need to tackle. Because unfortunately, mothers and daughters, we repeat our cycle. So unfortunately, I repeated her cycle. And, I got out of that, but I would not want that for my own daughter or anyone else's daughter. So you talk about the thread and the interconnectivity. I'm no longer that child who's to be seen and not heard. I'm out there. The closet door is open, and I'm bold
wide open.
And I'm ready.
Wide open, yes. So do you have a relationship at present with your mother or father?
My mom is deceased, and I do not have a relationship with my father.
Okay, which is understandable. We only have a few minutes left, Catherine. First, how do people get in touch with you other than the retreat2peace.com?
Absolutely. So they can go to the website, https://retreat2peace.com, and same ritual, but catherinedaniels.com. So all of the podcasts, all of the books, all of the workshops, everything is on there. And if you don't want to go there for the books are on Amazon as well. So you can find them by putting in Catherine Daniels, and the books will populate for you. And feel free to follow me. And then there will be a YouTube channel coming out as well. So there's lots of different ways.
Lots of different things happening, and there must be some excitement within you. I always like to ask this. because I experienced it years ago where you're starting something new and you're fearful, but yet there's some excitement all wrapped in together, and that's what really shows you that that's the path you take, regardless of how challenging it may be. Because that's what I experienced 18 years ago with Dream Vision 7 was, oh my gosh, how am I going to do that? I don't even know what I'm doing. I have no idea. And then boom. But in these last 2 minutes or so, I wanted to have you share with the listeners, everyone, we're in a big shift, as we all know, and there are many people that are in real deep fear because of the uncertainty, and as we know, nothing is certain, but there's more uncertainty now. What can they do to stay grounded? What can they do to get through to wherever we're going?
Yeah, I love this question so much. Oh, and I forgot to add Facebook. Go to Facebook, find Catherine Daniels. All of that's on there. Follow me. You'll get all the new information as well. This question is such a great question. And I just feel like, when I was being guided with Retreat to Peace, I prayed on this. What is coming for the world? And unbeknownst to me, I heard this cooing sound, and it was a peace dove, and this peace dove continued to show up for 2 weeks. I even talked to it. I went outside, and it circled around my head, and I was like, oh, my gosh, thank you so much. And as we know, the peace dove does represent world peace. So please know that we are really going into a space where we are going to experience a lot of peace. And the thing that is going to be abundantly important is just stay grounded. So what does that mean? Think of the 5 senses. Think of your 5 tools, your 5 senses, and your 5 tools that are going to help you do that. So what are the things that you love to touch that are, for me, it's a super soft blanket. Everybody that knows me, they know I need soft stuff. For me, it's a cup of tea. It's my, it's my music that makes me feel good. It's, it's the colors that I love surrounding my environment, putting those things in front of me. It's really getting grounded with your personal self and just that authentic peace in you, and listen, really listen. Like if you're getting the discernment that this doesn't feel good, turn it off. That means Netflix, the television, whatever it is. If it's rubbing your soul the wrong way, shut it out. It doesn't belong in that space. So just get centered with yourself and do the things that are going to make you feel safe and feel uplifted, and just know that everything really is going to be okay.
Beautiful. I love every word that you've shared. It is so important, those 5 senses and cuddling up with your blankie. With that said, we'll have you back one day, Catherine. I love you. And everyone out there listening, share the show, listen to it again, let others share information back and forth. And until we come together again in conscious love consciousness, au revoir.
Are you seeking a clearer path to love? Then tune in to the Love by Intuition show next week. All designed to your highest good. To contact Deborah Beauvais, owner of Empowered Connections, call her at 508-226-1723. That's 508-226-1723. Or link on to lovebyintuition.com. Remember, we are all one, and we are all part of the miracle of love.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.